Both J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio are set to bring in a lot of new surprises for Star Wars Episode 9. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, with everything that a lot of people are expecting to see in this movie, since it will be tapping into past Star Wars movies, is that, well, a lot of people are really just hoping out that this movie is going to be the one that stands out in the sequel trilogy apart from both The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art, and storyboard descriptions, etc. And I really wanted to discuss J.J. Abrams, Chris Terrio, and the overall vision of Episode 9, and how it will actually change certain elements of the prequels, and it will. Now, that's the one thing about Star Wars Episode 9, is that it will have some connections to the prequel trilogy that will change our perception of that trilogy itself. Now, that could either be a good or a bad thing for the franchise as a whole. They kind of somewhat did this in the Star Wars The Last Jedi, where Luke Skywalker was basically saying that the whole concept of the Jedi were wrong, and it kind of made us look at the prequels in a different way. Now, apparently, this is actually going to happen once again on a larger scale in Episode 9 when it comes to Jedi and Sith lore. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when we look at J.J. Abrams, we do know that he does have a lot on his shoulders right now. This is a huge task that he has to complete in order to satisfy a lot of fans around the world. Now, when I think about Star Wars Episode 9 and its connections to the prequel trilogy, I believe it all has to do with either Emperor Palpatine, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, some kind of big revelation about the Skywalker bloodline, which we will be getting in this movie as well, supposedly, and that's honestly going to reflect on the prequel trilogy itself. And a lot of people right now are talking about this, and they're a little worried about, on whether or not this is actually going to be a negative impact on the prequels. And some of you guys out there may say right now, well, a lot of fans disliked the prequel trilogy and George Lucas and his vision. Meanwhile, yes, there are others who actually love the prequel trilogy and cherish it. I, for one, am one of those to a certain degree. I will say that The Phantom Menace, not my favorite movie, but it has its moments. It has, Darth Maul going up against Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Attack of the Clones, didn't like that movie too much either, but you know what? It's got these cool elements to it, like, of course, Obi-Wan and Anakin going up against Dooku. Then Yoda comes in, he goes up against Dooku. It has its moments. Then in Revenge of the Sith, I would say that's a pretty near flawless film as a Star Wars movie, at least in my point of view. Sure, it has some flaws, but I think it's near flawless. And if we look at Star Wars Episode 9 and how it's going to have these connections to the prequel trilogy and will change our perception of that trilogy, the prequels, of course, I honestly think it could be a risk by Disney and Lucasfilm. I don't know exactly what they plan on doing when it comes to Episode 9 and its connection to the prequels, whether that's going to tap into, Revenge of the Sith, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, whatever it may be, right? And there's been a lot of talk that we could be going back over to Mustafar or Naboo or something around those lines. Now, with everything that's happening within a lot of the other canon pieces for the Star Wars franchise, with the whole concept of Darth Vader trying to resurrect Padme and all, that's a great example of how we look back on Sith and Jedi lore. I mean, they're really adding a whole different medium when it comes to Star Wars content. And if we look at Episode 9, we do know that they do plan on doing a lot of these twists and turns and surprises that we will never expect to see. Alright, so going into the film, I think it's going to be a big treat. I think that we're really kind of just going in there without knowing of what's going to hit us. And yes, they said the same exact thing with The Last Jedi, and I kind of was a little disappointed with the twists in that movie. Basically, the two big twists in that film were, well, the apprentice kills the master and Luke Skywalker was a Force projection. It felt a little weak to me, as, twists and stuff like that, and, Rey's parents are nobody. If you look at The Empire Strikes Back, it was just such a shocking twist. I remember watching it as a kid. I was like, what? Darth Vader? Luke's father? I was so confused. I was thinking, maybe is Darth Vader lying to Luke? Then in Return of the Jedi, they explain everything. that's the kind of excitement that we want to see in Episode 9. So depending on how it reflects on the prequels, it could honestly be, for better or worse. We'll have to wait. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.